Okay, guys, let's get into it. I am so excited about this box. I think it came out so beautifully. Okay, so let me walk you through how I assemble it. The largest pieces you just go on ahead and glue together. They are simply for stability. This paper that I'm using is not the paper that I would have chosen immediately. It's linen. It's by Martha Stewart. And actually, linen turned out to be a great choice because it's got texture to it. And I at first didn't want texture. I don't like textured cardstock, but this actually works for this project. But it's a lot lighter and a lot more flimsy than I would have originally gone for. And that presents it doesn't really present a problem with anything, but it's not my preference. However, it has texture and it gives the hat a more realistic look in person. So I glued the bases down, and I have another video on how I assemble, watching me assemble this box. So if you don't like this one, maybe you'll like that one, and I should try to link it down below. Um, yeah. So I'm folding over the little tabs, and that is for the base of the box. These tabs right here that I'm folding over, and we are going ahead and put some glue on them now. What happened was they weren't all facing the right direction, which means I wasn't paying attention to which side of the paper I was cutting. And I really did end up liking the linen, so I needed to make sure that all the linen was facing up when I put it on my Cricut mat to cut. So I had to go back and fix it, and that's what you saw me doing before. To make sure that all of these were facing the same direction. I must have flipped it over, kind of going back and forth. I did that with a couple of the pieces, so thank God I only bought 10 sheets of paper, so I didn't have a lot to flub. However, things sometimes work out, and they did with this. So I had just enough to do this project the way that I wanted to, with the little extras that I added to. So here we are, pinching it closed and just gluing it. This takes a lot of patience. You need to hold it there. And that's pretty much this whole box. You can't just glue it and touch it and move forward. Even though this glue dries really, really quickly, you still need to take your time and hold it because you're putting tension to make the paper curve. The paper does not naturally want to curve. Mary's done a great job with the pattern. However, you still need to do your part and just take it slow. This is certainly sped up, so know that. And I show just about all of these. You see right there at the bottom where my right thumb is? It's really important that you fold that over and then match that up. I didn't do it on one side, and it's just because I'm rusty. My box still laid flat, but you want to make sure that you fold that large flap over and then line that flap up with the other flap. It's just a great way to put these projects together. And now I'm just kind of looking at spacing and making sure that everything lines up before I glue it down, because I'm not using tape. I'm using actual liquid glue, which means, hey, once we put it down, it's pretty much down. So here I'm going to glue that back tab down first. And I'm making sure to line it up as precisely as possible. And now I'm putting it back on the table to put a little tension on there. And I'm going to run my fingers back and forth just to make sure that it's good and stuck down. Because again, I'm going to start putting some tension on this box in some places. Like right there, that's tension. So now I'm doing the next two. And if you're scared that you are going to make this box not straight, you could have put the liner in first, which would have given you an exact, what is this, a hexagon? 1, 2, is this a pentagon or hexagon? It would have given you, is that 6? It would have given you a more precise way of putting it down. I'm kind of guesstimating based on the 3 that line up in the back, but in hindsight, I probably would put down the liner in the box first, glue that down to those tabs, and then just glue the box down, and you know that you've got the proper shape. Just a thought. I hope that makes sense. You'll see me put the liner down in a minute, and then you'll see that it like pushes right up, and I got it pretty good without any distortion. I did a pretty good job because those front three sides there are kind of floating. So you're hoping that you're getting them straight. Now watch. And this is a really tight, snug fit. Don't be scared if it doesn't just fall down into the liner of the box. Like you got to really put it down. See, I'm putting it down in there. And again, luckily it goes down flat. I didn't have any gaps. But in hindsight, again, you could put that down first and then just glue that box down and you'll probably be dead on. Now I'm gluing down the I don't know what you call this, I don't know what you call this part of the hat. I was about to say the bib, but that's not right. The bill of the hat. Let's try bill. Really like that. It's such a nice touch. Now, see these holes? I started to do the work and take the holes out because for this particular design, there are no holes on the hat that I'm duplicating, but I didn't, and you'll see why I wish that I had have done that. So with this, it is simply time. You will take your time and you will hold and you will pinch and you will wait because you're definitely putting tension to make this hat curve. So you see me there, holding and pinching. You're going to fold down the ones that you want to glue it toward first. And then you just hold and pinch. And you see me get impatient because this takes patience. But it does just kind of curve right down there. You see me putting some more glue. I'm working at about 4 of these tabs a piece each time. And you're just going to go on ahead and make that line up. So I went ahead and did 3 because the ears are going to go between the third one and then the next set of 3. So I made these in Cricut and I didn't show how I make them, and I'm hoping that nobody will really want to duplicate this box because then I'll feel bad and feel like I should have. I counted down, I think I did 4, and I started gluing on the 5th tab down. And basically, I just took a circle and put a tab on it and then cut triangles into the tab. It's important to have those triangles so that your circle can kind of breathe. It needs to curve with the hat. And I tried to find and tried to keep them on the straightest points of the hat so that it didn't have to do a lot of curving. But because I didn't put a curve in there, I don't even know that I know how to do that. Maybe I do, I don't know. But on this side, we're gluing the tabs to the tabs, and that's it. They have to be able to move and wiggle, so that's that one. And now we're going to go on ahead and put on that next piece. I actually preferred putting on the other piece because I got a chance to glue the ear to the smooth instead of the forked cut side, and it worked a lot faster, a lot easier, and I like the way that the ear stayed up. This one was falling forward. I fixed it. It's not a problem. As you can see in the picture, it stands straight up, but I had to kind of wiggle with it. And had I just glued it to that piece, that back piece, and then adhered it, I don't know. I don't know if it would have worked, but it was easier on the other side. So this is a 6-sided hat shape. So I glued the next one on, and then the next one on, and then the next one on. I don't glue 3 together and then just pop it on there. That's not what I'm doing. And I was sure to count because one of these pieces is clearly the back, and this is the back piece right here. So you have to make sure that that goes where it's supposed to go so your hat isn't funky. So here we are, another 4 triangles, see? And then we just slowly work our way down. That ear actually didn't get in the way very much. I didn't have any issues with it. It was cool. So now I'm measuring because there aren't forks on the side. See right here, I'm just going to glue those to the caps. So much easier. But I measured, and I think it's down about 1.5 inches from the top. And so I gave myself a little mark so I knew, and then I just plopped them on there. See how much easier this is to glue? The other one I had to pinch and wait and hold with the forks and wiggle the forks and make sure they were, still able to curve with the hat. The other one, easy peasy. So this is going to be a tight squeeze. You'll see me fidgeting with it, and that's really because I'm trying to show you on camera. In reality, it's still a tight squeeze, but you just need to go from the other side where it's difficult to see on camera and glue it. Not a big deal. All right. The hat, see how the one on the right is leaning forward a little bit? I fixed it, but it just wanted to lean. So now we're gonna decorate this puppy. So exciting. How did I make these ears? I went to Chrome, I typed in rainbow, I found the rainbow that most closely resembled what I was going for, and I simply saved it as a JPEG and then imported it into Cricut and uploaded it as a pattern. It was that simple, and then dropped that pattern right on that shape. It was truly that simple. These shapes that I'm using for ears are the shapes that people use to cut ears to make for their Disney ears. I just didn't cover them with stuffing and fabric. I just use them as paper. I found a D on Etsy. I bought it. I don't love it. They were very difficult to find. I thought everybody would have this D. I figured it was a thing. So it's not the cleanest cut and it's not the sharpest, like at the tip. It's okay. It does the job. You know where I was going with this. And you see me, that paper is 100-pound cardstock, that black cardstock. So I just use my hands to train it, to curve it just a little bit because it's going to sit on that curve, which is why I didn't originally glue the rainbow D onto the dark D, because when you glue stuff down with wet glue, it's kind of like you're making bricks and cement. And so it gets very, very stiff. And I wanted to be able to bend that D a little bit, and it would have been more difficult had I glued this D on before I put it on the hat. I wish that there was a way that I could get something to go around these edges without it bleeding into the paper. It bled just a little bit, but because it's black, it kind of blends into the background. But I was trying to be very, very careful with my Tombow marker. I originally tried the pigment pen, but that was a fail. It was such a fail. I just had to go on ahead to the trusty dusty Tombow, who has that super fine tip, so I was able to get into the little corners too. But it did bleed into my paper just a touch. And I think I used 80-pound cardstock to cut out that D. I did the same thing with the ears that I did with the D, or the same thing with the D that I did with the ears. I just used that same rainbow and changed it to a print, and then I just printed it on there. I made my own D paper, which I'm so proud of because I duplicated what was on the lining of the hat. If I had been paying more attention, I would have cut this shape so that it was facing us, but instead it's facing the side, and I wasn't paying the best attention to that. As long as my boxes have a liner, like, we're good, right? I love lining boxes. I just think it gives it such a finished look. So I created the liner. That is not something that comes with the file, but I think it just looks so much better to have a liner on the inside. And I did not show the way that I did that either. And I'm wondering if people actually care and are going to want to see that. But I just took the shape and I cut off those forks in Cricut. And then I took that. Oh, I created that paper though. And then I just printed it out on a sheet of paper. And then I placed it on the mat. I did not print to cut these panels. I printed it out and made it my own paper essentially, and then I just put it on the mat and then cut the shape out. So I was able to, and I used an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I was able to get 2 liners on each sheet. Those holes gave me the blues. I didn't pay attention. I should have kept the holes, and I should have enlarged the holes on the liner, but I did not, and in the future I would do that. I actually took a hole punch that has a very, very long reach. I punched a hole, and then I took that stylus and I was poking it and swirling it around so that you couldn't really see. There you go. See the holes? Now you can see through them. Such a pain in the butt. Really wish I had been paying attention. I got rid of the holes on purpose, and I should not have done that when I made the liner. That was a boo-boo. I should have enlarged them, not got rid of them. But hey, you live and you learn. Now you guys know. And then I cut a special liner for that back piece once I realized what had happened. And of course, I left the hole in for that one because that's just smart. There's really no sense in me giving you the file because your hat would have to be the exact same size as mine. And as you saw, if you watched the video on how to resize it, it's kind of a guesstimate game. It's not an exact, like, this hat is 11.5 inches. It's not like that. Doesn't that liner look lovely in there? I am so pleased. This is such a luxurious box now in my mind. I just love this guy. Oh, Tiffy Starchild just made an appearance. I was watching her Twitch while I was working. And there we are. That puppy is finished. Does it look like the hat? Did I do a good job? Let me know. Let me know if you think I did a good job. And on the back, it says Disneyland Resort because the back of the hat says Disneyland Resort. This box measures like 8 1/4 on the longest side, but really you could fit something in there that's about 7 inches. Yeah, 7 inches. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope to see you guys back soon.